Open your mind to something new.
The Damned Podcast. Let go of what anchors you and cut loose into the deep with your host, Daniel Updike.
Welcome to the Damned Podcast, and this is our weekly rant. And what am I going to be talking about today? Well, one of the things that I have seen, not just online, but in many different aspects of personal relationships that I've had with folks that have wanted to learn the arcane, is this one little issue. Whether they say so or not, because of the mindset of our society, people invariably at the start look at magic, the arcane, the occult, as something you do. Well, certainly it must be something you do. Are there rituals involved? Don't you have daily practices? Don't you do meditational work? Don't you do this? Don't you do that? And it looks very much, when you write it out, like a grocery list of things to do. And yet, in spite of the appearance outwardly of this being the case, and also many other examples that are out there, such as, religious involvements. And of course, what I do has nothing to do in my practice with religion. But let's just say for a moment that we see the similarity here. Religious practices, they go to services on certain days of the week. They do certain observances, depending on how disciplined the religion is. There are certain things dogmatically asserted that they are required to do in their day-to-day lives. Whether they do it or not is another story, but that is, of course, what's expected. How is magic, the occult, any different? Okay. You take a look at the surface of things, and you see similarities, that's where it ends. Because magic and the occult is not actually something you do. It is who and what you are on every level of your being. And the rituals, the meditations, the daily practices, the voluntary observances, there's not dogma involved here, are an expression of what you have chosen to become and to ever, in greater measure, become. Not something that you do to get brownie points or somehow fulfill some strange dogmatic assertion that if you do this in this certain way, that it will work. It is completely unrelated to that paradigm. In fact, what I've just discussed in terms of people thinking that magic and the occult is something you do fits very much with the Hollywood model of what many people in entertainment expect magic to be. In truth, those that look at things from the position of magic being only something that they do, you find that they are dabbling, whether they realize it or not. And this can be a very dangerous thing for two reasons. One, you might have some latent ability in there. And of course, don't be discouraged if you don't seem to, because you know what? Many things can be taught and can be learned. Sometimes people with latent abilities are the hardest people to teach anything because they think they know it all already. Okay, now, if you have latent ability, though, and you are not looking upon magic and the occult as being what you are choosing to actually be on every level of your being, it's dabbling, and you can end up having results occur that are so hit and miss and so misfired because your development is not keeping pace with what's going on that you can literally upend and destroy your own life. And this has happened many times to many people. People who you would never think would experience such mental breaks and psychoses. It can and does happen. Not in every instance, but in many it does. Now, the other thing is that nothing can happen, and that's actually a more fortunate position for you to be in, because in that situation, then, you haven't really harmed yourself. Okay? But what happens in that case when nothing happens is that people then begin to get discouraged and start to say, there's nothing to this, and it doesn't work, and, well, look at this, and so on and so forth, and they walk away from it, even when they actually did sense a resonance within their inner being, because they did not approach it the way it actually is. Okay? Magick and the occult has an awful lot in it that certainly takes work. But it does not come forth because of the work. It comes forth in success because the work that is being done is proceeding out of a deep, if not the deepest level of inward commitment. You live by it, and you die by it. And that is just the way it is. The rest is only taking you a little bit into the river. Maybe getting your toes wet, maybe getting your ankles wet, maybe getting your knees wet. But it's not teaching you or showing you how to actually swim across the river. Okay? And, one of the things that, is now becoming the tagline of the channel that I've got, I really think that it is a true statement, and I have adopted it here, and that is, of course, that I do not, in my own practices, claim mastery, because, of course, that's arrogant, isn't it? When you're talking about the infinite, and I've talked about how that cannot be quantified and cannot be defined, to call oneself a master, well, that's a bit more egocentric, I think, than it is in truth. I would say that I never claim mastery, only proficiency in my art, and always learning. And you know what? When you have that attitude and you have that commitment to yourself, that magic or the occult and the path that it is representing is what and who you are on every level of your being, keeps you in so many ways from going down the garden path that leads to arrogance, that leads to complete foolishness that destroys your own life, and reminds you constantly that we are always learning, that we are always becoming. I hope this is something that inspires you. I hope this is something that has been a help to you. These rants are just short little videos. Our main broadcast is coming up on the 16th of this month. This is December, of course, and it is on building your energy body. And regardless of whether you're in the Northern tradition or any other tradition that is out there, or chaos magic, or anything that you could possibly involve yourself in, with that attitude, that this is who you are, what you are, not just what you do. This broadcast is going to be a help to you on the 16th, and that's going to be on the air at 4 p.m. GMT 7 time, Sunday, the 16th of December. I'll see you there. And thank you for watching. I'm Dan, the host of the Damned Podcast. Until next time.